welcome to the 4th of July weekend episode of Sunday Talk About. Yeah, man, it's been a hot week. Yeah, wow, 4th of July. What a country we live in, huh? You see that flag behind me? That's one that Linda had from 1972, I'm gonna guess. She had a Navy sailor that stayed with them for a while, and he left them this flag. Only had it open one time before, and that was back in 2001 when we made the first Johnny Doc record. We used it in the photo shoot for that. But Linda decided to bring it out over the weekend. Well, what are we going to talk about today? So our song film release was a song that I wrote, ironically enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In 1976. It's amazing to think that I would have done that. Hey, Bucky. Hey, buddy. I don't know if you can see my buddy Bucky here. There he is. He's a good boy. Yeah, I wrote that song on Independence Day, 1976. It was a moving time. Obviously, it was the bicentennial then, and I was only 21 years old. It's hard to believe, really. I was thinking about things like that. I had a much more utopic and optimistic perspective of what might happen over the next 50 years. Wow. It's incredible to believe that song was written 50 years ago. The dog's running in the creek. Beautiful sight. So the song ended up being carried over into the first band that I put together right after that, called the John Franklin Band, and we performed it whenever we performed. My brother Rick played on it. Rick was a part of that first band. We played at the County Theater several times. I'm sure we played that song. The County Theater in Doylestown. They used to have midnight concerts, and we played there often. John and Peters played that song in John and Peters in New Hope. Played that song at Havana's. Played that song all over Bucks County, historical area of the Revolutionary War. I was fortunate enough to be born in that county and grew up there. I actually remember one time going to Bowman's Tower. I went to Bowman's Tower a lot when I was in my teens. Right around this time. I wouldn't be surprised if I actually went there the day I wrote the song. I was always really into history, American history. Back then, in the 70s, Bowman's Tower was open to the public, and I walked up and down those steps several times. It's a long hike, and it's a hike. When I was up there in the winter one time, because there were no leaves on the trees, and I remember looking downriver towards Trenton, and just imagining the Revolutionary Army with George Washington at the helm crossing the Delaware River there. That's where I grew up. I thought about it a lot. Back in the 70s, Bucks County was a whole different place. 50 years ago, there were not nearly as many homes, not nearly as many people. Most of the homes were old stone homes that were built 200, 150, 100 years before I was walking those streets. Spent a lot of time in New Hope. You know, at one point we bought a restaurant on the Delaware River up in Robsville, and there again it was a real privilege to have the opportunity to be there and to live in that experience and live in the history of that building. That building was pre-revolutionary. The stone part of it was pre-revolutionary, and it had a ferry that went from Robsville right there at the inn. It went across the Delaware River to Carpentersville, New Jersey, which is a really beautiful small town. It has a very European feel to it. It's interesting because it's on an angle. It doesn't go straight across the river. And how I know this is because at the corner of the property at Robsville Inn, there's a huge stone, and it had a big iron ring in it that was somehow seated into that stone. I don't know how they did it to make it stay there for 300 years, I guess, or almost 300 years. And they would have a cable or a big rope that went through that ring, and it went across the Delaware River, and they would pull that ferry back and forth. But where the stone and the ring were at the Robsville Inn, and where Carpentersville, New Jersey was, it was downstream from it. And I actually think that they planned this because a ferry that would be going perpendicular to the river would have faced a lot of resistance. But because it was on an angle on the river, it would go downstream or upstream. Slightly, I mean, more than slightly, but enough to make it work. And that was the way that they got from New Jersey to Pennsylvania and Pennsylvania to New Jersey before bridges were there. It was really wonderful having the opportunity to spend time and think about that place and think about the history of this area or that area, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the honor it was to live there, the honor it was to grow up there, and the honor it was to actually have the desire to understand it and learn about it. What a world we live in. It's crazy right now, isn't it? But at the same time, we have to keep returning to the things people that were alive decades and centuries before us were going through. You know, it's always been crazy. I mean, just imagine what it was like for them during the Revolution. I mean, those men, those signers on that hemp document, it's remarkable. Those signers risked everything, and some of them lost everything. But these were not the common man of the time. The common man were the ones that really won the war. But if it wasn't for these elite, wealthy, dedicated, and I must say many of them were believing Christians, potentially sacrificed to the point of becoming independent from a tyrannical country, England, at the time. And they made a major change, an unbelievable world major change. And it just goes to show you that things can change for the better. It doesn't have to be always this negative reality that's confronting us. And that's what happened then, you know. I mean, it was crazy world, man. It was just crazy. People were diabolical just like they are now, certain people. And people were dreamers just like they are now. So, you know, I'm getting old now. I'm getting up there, and I'm getting ready to move on from this world. But you younger folks, you can make a difference, and you should. You should do everything you can to make a difference. Be careful. Be careful of the yeast of the Pharisees. Be careful of being sucked into the norm, to the status quo. Anyway, I encourage everybody to go ahead and check out the 4th of July song film, What Is Real? Think about it. It's really a pretty cool film. I really love doing it. I love thinking about and working through it and developing the different scenes, talking about how I wanted the different scenes to be and thinking that through, writing that down, much of it down, and then coming up with the idea of going from historical event to historical event to historical event, right from 1776 to 2026. It's fascinating to watch the transition of what had to happen for this country to grow. And some of it not in good ways and some of it in better ways. So, happy 4th of July weekend. Love your families. Things can change in a moment. And they will. God bless you all. Thought about that yesterday. God bless you all. What does that mean? It means that the power that created everything, that in Him we live and move and have our being, that power, that reality, that consciousness that created our consciousness, to be like its consciousness. It's pretty wild. That's what God bless you means. Be in it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget, please, subscribe to us. Make a comment. Let us know what you think. Happy.
Seems like a long time since a revolution started.